You know what I mean?
There's another chair over there. Yeah, wherever you can drag it. Is it right?
Kinda, yeah. I'm gonna,
Tell me when it is.
yeah.
Number 8, 2020, Board of Education of Liberty Central School District meeting to order. Start the mission of the Liberty Central School District is to inspire all students to pursue their dreams and to contribute and thrive in the diverse community. So the first order of business is to swear our student board member, Medina, who I believe has been sworn in earlier today, and our alternate student board member, Brooke. If you would, repeat after me. I, Brooke Nichols. I, Brooke Nichols. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of New York. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of alternate student board member at my B20 and 2020.
And alternate student board member of 2020.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
this time, because we're one of our job here, and that is to recognize a August graduate. And I'll turn it over to the coordinator. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. We want to recognize two of our August graduates, Tyrese Holloway and Rogelio J. Molina Ordonez. Just wanted to say that it is very exciting and we're very happy for these two individuals so that they completed all their requirements as August graduates. And this way now they are free to move into the adult world, and we do wish them the best on their journeys as well. Normally, under normal circumstances, we would have had them and families here this evening to commemorate this, but due to the present situation of COVID, and we just wanted to take a moment and recognize the graduates. Perfect, thank you. Congratulations. That takes us to our public comment via Zoom. And our first public comment is from Barbara Kelly. Barbara? Ms. Kelly, are you with us? Okay, for now, we're going to move on. Do we have any other public comment? Ms. Kelly, are you with us now?
So anybody else receiving public comment? Ms. Kelly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, now we hear you. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, everyone. It's strange adjusting the work from the side of the table. I just wanted to make a quick public comment about my resignation tonight. Thank you for accepting it. Before I made the decision to rerun, which I wasn't planning on doing, I had some conversations with other board members about respect and communication that I felt was lacking on the board. A few months later, we're in the school year, and I ran and took the position, and the respect and communication is worse than it's ever been. It's a volunteer position. I wouldn't go to a paying job and deal with the lack of respect that I deal with the board member from all sides. So I am resigning tonight, mostly because of that, and it was made apparent at the last board meeting that that was the case, and not just that I was feeling. I also find that it's a waste of my time to remain on the school board. We do another thing I spoke about with the rubber stamping. We do a lot of that. At the last board meeting, I felt like we had an opportunity to ask questions about the reopening plan, and it was radio silence. So we're just going to vote on things and hit yes. I feel like anyone can just hit yes when it pops up on their screen, and I can use that time more effectively to be with my family and doing things I enjoy rather than this position. So thank you for accepting my resignation tonight, and it's been a pleasure working with all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Do we have anybody else?
Does anybody else would like to speak, please, present
Okay, at this time, we don't appear to have anybody else that wants to speak in public comment, so we will move on with our athletics annual update.
Oh, good evening. I just want to give an update on last year. Last year's fall and winter season, as well as what's to expect in the near future. Okay, so this is our 2019-2020 year in review. We got to play on the soccer field for the first time in multiple years. And the student athletes were very excited to finally set foot on that field of practice and to play. So I do want to thank the building and grounds crew again for all their hard work in getting that up and running with our lines and of course with the field prep and making it playable for the later half of the year. For the fall sports, the girls soccer team received a 2 seed in the sectional tournament, and they were ranked as high as 19th within the state within our Class B. The boys soccer received a 4 seed in the sectional tournament. Football was 1 win out of the playoffs, and volleyball and girls tennis are still on the rebuilding part of their season and their team. So they're gearing up. Hopefully for this year they'll get more numbers and of course compete with the partner this year. For the winter sports, the girls basketball team finished 1 win out of the sectional tournament. The boys team received an 8 seed in the sectional tournament when they went to go to Marlboro. The girls track and field had multiple athletes that medaled in the sectional meet and competed in a state qualifier. The boys track and field team had multiple athletes compete in that state qualifier as well. Boys skiing, all the athletes that were on that team qualified, were close to qualifying for the sectional tournament and the sectional meet. And the girls skiing team, we had 2 athletes finish in the top 20 at sectionals, and they just missed qualifying for states. And for wrestling, they had a productive year, and the JV program did take off. We had a lot of positive feedback with our JV team and our JV program getting the right direction with that wrestling program in battle. Just to touch base on the participation numbers, last year we had 154 high school athletes in the fall that competed on an athletic team, which is 10 teams. That's 32% of the student population. And in the middle school, we had 94 athletes, which is 17% of the student population. Again, it's a smaller amount of teams in the middle school. There's only 4 in the fall. But again, that's the numbers that we came up with when looking at the numbers for the participation. And in the winter as well, 99 athletes were 21%, and in the middle school, 62 athletes were 11%. We have a running participation. On an upward trend, we have boys soccer, girls volleyball, boys basketball, the wrestling team, and again adding the JV team was a crucial mark in that program. Boys track and field and girls track and field. Now there's no numbers for the spring season of last year, but looking at the numbers prior to the last 2 years, the numbers are going on an upward trend for participation. To get more participation within our athletic program here at Liberty, I believe that collaborating with coaches and coming up with off-season training mechanisms for having them more focused on the modified level to get the building programs. For the 2019-2020 honors, in the fall we had multiple athletic scholar athlete teams. We had girls soccer, girls volleyball, and girls tennis. And in the winter, we had boys skiing, girls basketball, girls skiing, and girls indoor track and field. We missed the school participation award by 2 teams. That's something that we're talking to the coaches, talking to the teachers. I think we can hit that mark in the very near future. Now, this is something that is very, very unique, and it's also a very highly recognized award within the athletic community, which is the Award of Excellence, which is exemplifies display of sportsmanship, integrity. This is a very great award that Liberty was part of it, and I thank our coaches and our players and everybody around the field committee that did a phenomenal job in just displaying all this. We also had a 2019 Gatorade Coach of the Week, Joe Frankie. He was the football season. He was nominated and awarded the Coach of the Week for the week of October 21st. Now moving on to this year, I just have to make it clear we have to be very patient with this process. As I go through this, I was on a conference call today as well, just to figure out what the next steps in the section moving forward. So comprehensive guidelines did come out on 9/4, the 49-page document including what the fall season may look like, if we do have a fall season. Some practice requirements within that document were from 6 now to 10 for fall sports. That's excluding football. If we do have football, we 12 practices to start participating. Students can start participating in 7 consecutive days. Right now, it's only 6. That was done as a blanket from the state, starting on 10/12, if we deem necessary and deem that we can participate in full athletics. Only league and sectional competition until 10/19. Only 2 spectators per event, per participant, which could mean a lot of checking at the door and a lot of just due diligence on our part, my part, and the chaperone's part to make sure that only 2 spectators per competitor per participant are entering the event. The winter sport is delayed until 11:30. It was currently 11:16, and that's a given. They're certainly going forward with that. So the earliest you can participate in winter athletics is 11:30. If the state feels the regions are impacted by COVID, a condensed scheduled season will then be formatted. That will be starting in January. Students are able to participate in athletics regardless of the choice that they have, whether it be hybrid, distance learning, or in person. There we go. Okay. And then section decisions will be the 9/10. Like I said, it just had a meeting today, and 9/10 will be a decision of the section of whether we will be having sports in the fall or if we're going to be delayed until November or January. Expectations for 2020, 2021. Again, patience is very critical with this. I know we want to get the ball rolling, especially myself, but again, we just have to sit back and be patient with the guidance and guidelines. We have to make all sports and athletic events safe and exciting for the student body when they do come back, and have everyone that is interested participate in some capacity, whether it be a manager, whether it be a player, or we have to extend it to the roster a little bit to make sure that everybody is back and we have a rich, fulfilled athletic program. Another thing that we were talking about, and another aspect of this is possibly live streaming our games for those people that can't come, or if they are if we're capped at 2 participants or 2 spectators per participant. That's something that we need to look at as a district. We can get cameras and get everything rolling with live streaming regardless of the game. And again, we have to work together to benefit and our student athletes. That is the end of the presentation.
Mr. Bianco? If no questions. Thank you, Mr. Bianco. Thank you. Brings us to our Regents information with Dr. Sullivan.
Good evening. As we know, last year the Regents were not administered due to the closure from COVID, but New York State has provided information for this year. As of now, the New York State Department of Education has tentative dates for us to administer the exams. They are monitoring the situation and they'll periodically send out guidance and updates. Just so the board knows and the community knows, the current tentative dates for the January, June, and August regions are, specifically for January, Tuesday, January 26th to the 29th. June 2nd is when will be the new administration of the United States History and Government exam. And then June 15th, Tuesday, June 15th through Friday, June 25th are the June exams for all the other exams, excluding the new U.S. history region, U.S. history region syndrome. And then for August, the region dates now are for August 12th and 13th of 2021. So that's the only update we have for regions. Again, usually we'd be presenting the data, but sadly we don't have it this year.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Any questions for Dr. Sullivan on the regions? Thank you, sir. Brings us to H, which is board discussion. First one on the docket is board member resignation, Barbara Kelly. Is that an action? Is there any discussion, Mr. DeWitt? We do not need a motion. It's just for board discussion. So that's accepted. If there's no discussion, we'll move on to board committees. We have Mr. for
Yeah, so budget committee continues to meet weekly with Dr. Contori and Ms. Gonzalez. We review and discuss non-contractual payment requests. As we all are aware, the budget cuts or the aid cuts are unknown and potentially severe. So we want to make sure that we're doing our best to, to kind of keep tabs on the spending. So with that in mind, we're trying to accommodate and understand all the requests, but at the same time, we're asking and maybe pushing back a little bit to just ask the requesters to maybe be a little creative, a little conservative, and try to figure out ways to meet their needs without necessarily spending money. So we continue to just monitor that and just discuss it.
Okay, is there any questions for Mr. Sept on the budget committee? I would like to go back, if I could, to number one, which was the Barbara Kelly resignation. I just wanted to state that the board in executive session has decided that we will open the selection of a replacement to the public. And if there's anybody in the public that would be interested in that position, please reach out to the district office, to our clerk, Mr. Frank, and let her know that you're interested in that position. The position will run through May, and then it'll be subject to the board election. Yes, of course.
I just want to be made public that you do thank us very much for I just would like to thank Barbara for the many years that she has given to the school district. She certainly was appreciated, and I wish her well.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Brings us to our comments by our superintendent, Dr. Tornatore. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. First, I wanted to share that we had our 3 conference days where the staff engaged in professional development regarding a variety of topics, some geared towards safety in the COVID age, some geared towards virtual learning and synchronous learning. We also were able to move up, and I do want to thank the board for altering the calendar to for a March conference day that we had today for the staff to work with their departments or the grade levels to be able to accomplish the work and the tremendous amount of work for reopening. Just want to remind the community again that all information is available on the website with the reopening schedule and with anything else related to the district and COVID. The calendars were delivered home. I did just want to remind the community that in addition to the calendar that has been delivered home, to please check the Google Calendar on the website because that is the most up-to-date place, because at the time we were putting in all of the dates for upcoming events, and of course things seem to change daily. So I just want to ensure that everybody please look at that as well. We are almost complete with getting the mobile app out, so as soon as we have that, I'm hoping by the next board meeting to share with the community about the mobile app, which is a great way to access everything very quickly for a free download onto your Droid or onto your iPhone. And in addition to that, I wanted to also mention that as per the governor's order, we started today with our daily reporting regarding the amount of students, staff, and if anybody does test positive. Certainly, we would get that information out anyway to the community and to staff, just like we did last year as well. And the last item I wanted to mention is to thank Ms. Kelly. Again, I certainly echo what Steve said and all of the work that she's put in for them. So,
Thank you, Dr. Tornatore. Brings us to our first student board member report of this year, Ms. Sophia Medina. Ms. Medina, are you with us?
So can you put out the statement, please? Sophia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Sophia Medina, and I'm going to be the student board rep for the 2020-2021 school year. So at the elementary school, they are coding by learning how it works with the help of Ms. Roper, our technology integration specialist. In the middle school, they continue to hold their PBIS monthly events where they are rewarded by the positive behaviors. In the high school, in the academic section, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one.
you would please allow me to restart. Sorry about that.
No problem.
At the Liberty Elementary School, they have distributed all of their Chromebooks and iPads to the students based on their grade level. In the middle school, they also distributed all of their Chromebooks with the help of their staff volunteers, and they also began social media initiatives celebrating student birthdays and the Where's Waldo with Ms. Murphy and Mr. Golden Game. In the high school, under the academic section, all of our Chromebooks have been distributed. The high school has many staff volunteers that help get our devices into the hands of our students. The freshman and new student orientation were converted into digital and shareable format. We had a group including myself, Ms. McKenna, Ms. Black, Dylan Parks, and Daly, Marie Garzon, for creating the videos and for making the project a reality. The leader and new student and staff leadership teams met over the summer and last week to create a plan for implementation. The initial plans include creating videos or vlogs that describe what Liberty Pride means to our students. Our senior rock is also painted and looks great. We just finished one of our lab sessions today. Under the athletics and extracurricular, Ms. Buck, Ms. O'Donnell, and the classes of 21 and 22 ran their first successful fundraiser for the year, which was the Brooks Barbecue that we held at the LCSD parking lot.
Okay, thank you so much, Sophia. That takes us to our next.
Say that Sophia, that I'm very happy that she's our student member, and I hope she can speak to as many of her fellow students in any building, and maybe the next couple of weeks bring us their experiences of how they feel the open school is going, and I would love to hear from their perspective.
Very good, Dr. Olson. Anybody else have any comments for Ms. Sophia? Brings us to our administrator's reports, Dr. Sullivan.
As usual, in my report, it just indicates some meetings that took part in the time from the previous board meeting. Again, collaborating with Dr. Tornatori with the reopening and the professional development offered for that day. We did hold a new teacher orientation. We did it virtually at this point in time. And I know there's a lot of information for them. There is a scheduled send for a mentor information being sent out at 9:09 and 9:10 tonight. I just know that because I did that last night. And so to help and continue to support the new teachers. Again, meeting with the professional development team to prepare for reopening. And with the reopening schedule, in some cases where the Wednesday could be actually some more professional learning, getting feedback from staff and students to see what we can adapt and how we can change, which goes to in my report in the top part of the link, as mentioned in the August board meeting of the instructional support guide. And working with the instructional subcommittee and reviewing this as a group, the support guide in there provides an overview of our learning, especially in the virtual sense and the hybrid sense, and the overview of what the structures and the assessments of the teaching is. It gives an explanation of synchronous learning and asynchronous learning. And as you scroll down, there's a graphic organizer. There's 3 components in looking at the type of instruction that we want to promote. And it comes from Dr. Cunningham and Randy Hall. And it's based on more of that explicit direct instruction, which is where you have the students there, you give them something to start the class, a do now bell ringer, based on your learning target, and you're going through that information to see what they know. And scrolling down in the structure of learning, we also provided first days of school, some tips and tricks for teachers in the virtual sense. It's from a resource called the Distance Learning Playbook by Dr. Doug Fisher, and they did cite that. And there's some standards and some items for key standards that staff can use to work on. and focus on as we start school, knowing from the closure last year that there are some learning gaps the students had. I think there are some learning gaps for all of us in trying to persevere through last spring and looking at what we learned for this fall. Again, the structure of the learning is where you could have it, where we're going to do now development and going into your direct instruction, looking at a flipped lens. At the end of that, students in the class would give a sign, a signal, if they feel that they understood the content, and students that are attending virtually would be able to use a symbol or good or need help in the chat, and the teacher can work through that, which is going to be a learning process for everyone, for the students and the teacher. And it's kind of what you call formative assessment, see what they're knowing, and then where you can kind of answer some of those questions to help get the student on track to complete the learning activity. And then finally, the last portion of that is a wrap-up, kind of like a reflection, getting the students to think how they learned, what went well. It's an ongoing thing. Like anything else, we always want to make sure to reflect what we're doing. And we have to use a lot of reflective skills in this time because we're all jumping into something that is new to all of us. Scrolling down, to the bottom is more of looking at project-based learning structure in the document. You'll see the creative design process that the team worked on. Gonzalez helped with putting the graphic together and finding ways for students to create those digital projects, and in-person and digital, creating digital portfolios. And then in the PD day that we had, I conducted a training on reciprocal teaching. This was more digital collaboration, which could be in person, but using our G Suite technology we have for students to collaborate. And right now, as we know, as education evolves and looking at students moving to the next level of being in the workforce or in a higher education or trade schools, and even in the military, students need to learn how to digitally collaborate in a situation or an environment that they're not facing, COVID or anything like that. So we're starting to, provide these structures, brainstorm them, reflect on them, so we can continue to, work with our teachers and input from them to enhance the educational process for our students in this time and moving forward. And that's it. Any questions?
We have no questions for Dr. Sullivan. Thank you, sir. Brings us to our Director of Student Services, Ms. Winona.
Good evening. So at the August Board of Education meeting, I shared information on upcoming state reports that were due on August 24th. Both the VR13 and VR16, they were both submitted on time with no errors. To start off the school year, I'd like to share information on our current numbers of students with disabilities. So preschool initial referrals from July 1st through August 31st, we had 7. Transfer in students into the district between July 1st and August 31st. In grades K through 4, we had 9. And in grades 5 through 12, we had 6 students. My apologies on my report, I accidentally put a typo 5 through 8. It was actually grades 5 through 12. And we had a total of 3 new CSU referrals that came in during the summer. So we have a total classified number of 220 students. These are a total that includes our preschool students. We have 40 students that are placed out of district currently. We have 2 students that are on homebound tutoring pending something else. And we have a total of 22 preschool students, and these numbers are as of September 2nd. And we have a total of 82 students with 504 accommodation plans, and that is broken down with 74 in middle school and high school, and 8 in the elementary school. And we have 7 students pending 504 approval. The E&L count I will give at a later time. We have a vacant high school special education teacher position, which was posted. And we are continuing our work with New York State Education Department. I had a meeting with our new regional associate, Ms. Pam Monsell, and she reviewed with me the priority focus for this school year. And the following is the scheduled events that she provided that she plans on doing this year. So she has a request for materials. We have to produce procedures to her on how we are making sure staff are knowledgeable of how to access IEPs and 504s. We have to submit a variety of documentation, class lists, teacher schedules, procedures. The procedures have to be written as to how we are telling staff and how they have to implement the IEPs. They're asking for a representative sample, which they're going to select after we give them the names, and they're going to receive the students' IEPs and parent contact information. They're going to do surveys and interviews, and they are going to also do classroom visits and most likely sit in on some CSE meetings. Obviously, when they sit in on CSE meetings, we do send letters home to the families to let them know that the state is going to be sitting in. Families do have the right to say they don't want them there, but they're purely just sitting there as an observation, not to be part of the committee. And we're moving straight forward into our meetings, CSEs and preschool meetings. At this time, we're holding them all virtually. And I created the schedule for the monthly psychologist and special education facilitator meetings, and those were distributed, and I had the first meeting today.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Manoa?
I'm not sure the scheduling for the special ed, maybe just in terms of how many days children are coming in, or is this the same as whatever grade they're in? Or is there a special accommodation?
So the priority is going to students that are classified. So at the elementary level, they will be most likely coming in on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays in self-contained classrooms. And at the middle school and high school, my understanding is that Wednesdays will be for any students that are classified to receive extra assistance. Each of the buildings did it a little bit differently, wherever best fit their building schedules.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Principal Adams, next. Administration report.
Evening. All right, so I just want to briefly expand upon some of what Sophia added. So I sent out an email to our parents as well as the students this afternoon, trying to get them some of the last minute information before we get into classes. Tomorrow is the first day of school virtually for all students. So we share Google Classroom codes via the website, just to try to add another layer of a method for students to make sure that they're logged into their classes correctly. They get invitations from their teachers, but we want to make sure that we're covering all the bases. Our freshman new student orientation, as Sophia had stated, she and the other students, Mrs. McKenna, did a great job working with us to create videos, how-to videos, how to check the email, how to log in the school tool, what to do, why we do it, things like that. Try to keep the video short, but they did an excellent job. It's on our website now, and included that link that was sent out this evening. And then Mrs. McKenna also helped us create a presentation taking what has been in the letters that I had shared recently on how we will operate in the hybrid learning model and put it into a slideshow, the simplest format with something for students to revert back to. And that's all I have for you today.
Do you know how many students opted for virtual learning only?
Yeah, actually, I think I put that in my board report, if I'm not mistaken.
That is in the board report we have.
Yeah, so it is in there, it is somewhat flexible to change, because we said the students would not be given the opportunity to opt for hybrid until the quarter changed, because there's a logistical issue, with too many students doing that. They can revert to virtual at any time, and we're still working on some of the finer details, especially with our upperclassmen and BOCES, to try to make things as smooth as possible. So those were at the time that I submitted the report. They will vary a little as we try to make things go a little smoother. Thank you. Oh,
Any other questions for?
thank you.
Takes us to Principal Shea. With our middle school.
So good evening. I'll start by answering Dr. Ocean's question for the middle school. We had 284 students opt for the hybrid model and 200 for virtual. We had around 54 students who were not able to contact. So the students were factored into our hybrid model. So again, when we adjust that up, we may have to shift the numbers. Every day we have people calling, asking if they can switch. So we're allowing people to switch from hybrid to virtual, but we're not allowing people to go the other way because we're at maximum capacity. We've had 17 new students at the middle school. We had 60 students on September 1st. So right now, all of our new students are virtual until we again start school, figure out who did not respond, and if they're not going to be coming in person, we can adjust the building numbers. But right now, we're at capacity. If you look at the board reports that I shared with you on the last page, there were various links. One of the links had all of that information for you on the slideshow, including chart with numbers. So I would just like to start. It may sound cliche to say teamwork makes the dream work, but with this monumental opening, it's very true. With all the different departments in the district, as well as the buildings working together to make this happen. I just want to say thank you. And the specific thank yous are in my board report, but some highlights for thank yous would be Tony Lisinski, Gerald Lodge, John Cornell, Phil Caleric, Donnie Sherwood, Travis Johnson, and Aaron Frank, our custodial team, above and beyond, getting the building ready, not only for a regular opening, but having to switch modes and get everything ready for a hybrid opening. Another big thank you to Sheila Wormuth and Danielle Cummins for their endless work on the hybrid scheduling, and Rita DeMeo and David Victoria for all their work on Chromebooks and getting that technology ready for students so we can open. So those are the big thank yous. Everything else is in my board reports. And any specific questions? If you have any, I'll answer. Again, there's lots of specific questions in the board report.
Okay, we have no questions. Thank you. This is to our elementary school. Principal Harris.
Good evening. I will also answer your question, Dr. Wilson. We have 427 in person and 260 virtual at this time. And we have been allowing people to get into the in-person seats if they are special education or in-house. And some parents who just didn't respond, we're still taking their responses. So at this point, the elementary school is almost full, and we have to make some decisions about letting kids in the future because we don't have physical space or teachers available for the in-person beyond what the capacity of the building is and beyond the teachers that we have. I would also like to say that we held a mock arrival, and invited in all of the students who have signed up in person. We had, out of the 427, we had over 200 kids come in for the mock arrival. They went very smoothly, and, we have all of the plan students who have signed up from kids back, and, we have gone out of the 427, we had, but that is nothing new to us, I don't think that you mock arrivals. They went very smoothly. It's a day, we have all of the plan students who have signed up from kids back, we have out of, we know what we're facing, but we are equipped, we have all of our staff are going to be out there helping, and I think that our plan to stagger the reopening is really going to help us to help the little ones get in and learn the routines before the older kids come back. So I think that we have the best plan possible, and I will also say that I've heard from several parents after the mock reopening, and all of them said that they feel much better and that they felt that the building was prepared for their children to come back and that they were safe. So, and now we just need to
Any questions for Principal Harris? If not, we'll move on to our Director of Technology, Terry Hartle Road. Good evening, everybody. A lot of the principals have touched on points, my talking points about the Chromebooks, about the teamwork involved in getting them out, both volunteers from the building and the tech staff. And I'd just like to thank everybody for their patience and help and all that. We couldn't have done it with the staff that we have. Two techs, myself, and the TIS could not have handled that without the volunteers and help from the building, so thank you. Some of the high points, obviously, prep for school opening, getting all those Chromebooks up, as you heard everybody mentioned. Brand new areas, 34 leaders are getting them. There was a Wi-Fi project that's just about completed now, so much stronger, more encompassing Wi-Fi for the district. We did a project with Google and School Tool, so they talk to each other better, so that teachers can meet the effectively after grades, they can put grades in one system, grades in the other, so it should make things a little seamless. Distance learning, you heard everybody talk about different projects. The cameras among tables. Some tables are still up, I think there's some that are still in boxes still, but they're here now, we're distributing them for the teachers to be able to display. Those use the increased bandwidth, so we have the throughput for these lessons to get out to everyone. And we have several Wi-Fi hotspots that are configured now and ready to be distributed for disadvantaged students or just people who live on top of mountains and down valleys where you can't get cable and get internet. These hotspots give you cellular, send your phone to a hotspot. There's a lot of information in the report. I don't want to sit here and read it all. One high point I did see in a very short month between the last meeting and this one, we fielded 524 help desk tickets in addition to prepping school. So kudos to the guys in the tech team. They've really been going at it. Like I said, everything's in the report. If there's any questions, I can get them down. Any questions for Mr. Hartle Road? If not, thank you, sir. Brings us to our Director of Facilities, Mr. DeMarco.
Good evening, everybody. A couple points I'd like to touch on in my report. The elementary gym floor construction is pretty much complete. The new pads were installed. The stage curtains, the woodwork was restained. The thresholds were installed. CSR was here, and we went through a punch list with the contractor, and I will be working with them to make sure that that's taken care of. Martin Landscaping was in to make repairs to the drainage tunnel at the elementary to fix the sinkhole. They dug down, we found where it was underlying the wall. They put special fabric in, lined with cobble rock, and then we poured quite a bit of concrete to hopefully stop the underlying, and that should take care of, we're hoping to take care of the issue. And I also would like to give a big thank you for trying to get everything ready, what we've been faced with this whole COVID-19 and reopening. My staff, my building custodians, Tony, Marilyn, and Timmy, for making sure that everything was ready as it could be with their buildings. My grounds maintenance